Morning everyone, another VeloNomad video. Two quick questions from Magnus in Malmö in Sweden. Tim, I'm training for Etape in July and following your Grand Fondo training plan, link down below. I'm not used to using heart rate based training but finding it rewarding, especially when riding against the wind, and I can now be satisfied when monitoring my heart rate and avoid being frustrated over my lack of progress into the wind. I know the feeling, Magnus. I wonder if you have any advice on the ride itself in July with regard to heart rate zones, how long to stay in each zone, especially in the higher zones. It's going to be hard to keep my heart rate down during the climbs. Link down below to a video I did about surviving Grand Fondos, and it covers this in detail, but very briefly, Magnus, it depends. If you're fitter, you can afford to spend longer in the higher heart rate zones and do it more often. Remember, you've got a defined number of matches to burn. So here's how I do it. If you know your threshold heart rate, same logic applies if you know your threshold power. Heart rate's a little bit different. Depends if you've been sick or if you've had alcohol or if you're stressed, it tends to go up. So if you know threshold power on the climbs, try and spend as much time as you can at lower heart rate, because you've got a lot of climbing to do. So if it was say 165 beats a minute, first climb, high cadence, try and keep your heart rate down. Towards the end of the ride of the Grand Fondo, if you've got a bit of fuel or reserve left in the tank, you can push your heart rate a bit higher. In a race or something, you need to put your heart rate high because you're trying to keep up. But in Grand Fondo, if you're trying to survive, try and keep it down. If you're really, really fit and you can afford to push it, then push it. Like I said, same logic applies to threshold power. If power's a bit different, if you know your threshold power is say 250 watts or whatever, on the first long climb, Tourmalet, Libya, and your threshold power is 250, try and keep your power down to say 200 watts, or even a bit lower if you're really unfit. If you're fitter, you can push it close to your threshold power. Remember, threshold power, same as heart rate, is that output for 20 minutes. Also wonder about the pit stops. Should I try keep moving with maximum 15-minute stops, or is it okay to link for half an hour and then carry on? Do I have 1 or 2 water bottles, considering the climbs and extra weight versus distance between the refill opportunities? Okay, so 2 parts to that. Pit stops. How long to stop for? It depends. I hate stopping for more than 5 minutes. My legs start feeling terrible. I prefer just to stop for the minimum time and then just keep going and barrel on, worry about stopping at the end. Obviously, if you're really struggling, if you've got cramp, if you really need to take some fuel on board, then stop. Keep your legs moving, just shake them out. Like you see the pro riders on a descent, they're shaking their legs. Don't let the lactate accumulate. But again, it's up to you. Don't wait to find out on the day. Do some research, go do some long rides beforehand and see what works for you. But like I said, I prefer just to stop if I have to, toilet break, whatever, or grab some food from the food stop or my own food and just keep going. If I've got cramp, I'll stop and try and get some electrolytes and get the cramp out. 1 or 2 water bottles, 2 water bottles, and I like 800ml bottles. The reason is you can't rely on the organisers having lots and lots of water stops. I've done Grand Fondos where there's been, say, 80 or 100, I say 80 k's or 60 k's between stops. That to me, if it's a really hot day in the Alps or the Pyrenees, or it doesn't matter where your Grand Fondo is, and it's 35 degrees centigrade or Celsius, you're going to need water. So take 2 water bottles, don't worry about the extra weight. And to be honest, most people can afford to lose a couple of kilos anyway, so the water's not going to make that much of a difference. If you're at the point where you have to jettison water to survive, you're in big trouble anyway. So my thing is, take enough water and food to be self-sufficient. There's food and water at the stops, but don't rely on them. Hope this helps. If you've got any questions, there's a link down below where you can send the questions, or email them to tim@velonomad.com, and I will be happy to answer them on video. Hope this helps, Magnus. Good luck in the Etape du Tour. Bye everyone.